Welcome, dear viewers, to a place where shadows whisper and fear takes hold. Tonight, we delve into the chilling mystery of the black-eyed children. Join us if you dare, as we recount 3 spine-chilling encounters with these enigmatic beings. Imagine, if you will, a stretch of desolate highway cutting through the heart of nowhere. The night is thick with shadows, the silence broken only by the hum of your engine. This, my friends, is where our first terrifying tale begins. Our traveler, a man by the name of David, found himself on just such a road, his headlights cutting through the darkness like a beacon in the night. He was miles from civilization. The only other signs of life, the occasional flitting owl or the rustling of unseen creatures in the roadside brush. As David rounded a bend, his headlights illuminated 2 figures standing by the side of the road. 2 children, a boy and a girl, no older than 10. They stood eerily still, their small frames swallowed by the darkness. David, his heart filled with a sense of unease, slowed his car. He couldn't quite place his finger on it, but something about the children seemed off. Maybe it was their stillness, their silence in the face of the oncoming car. Or maybe it was their eyes, large and dark, reflecting the faint glow of his headlights. "Excuse me," David called out, his voice hesitant. "Are you 2 all right? Need a ride?" The children did not respond, but slowly they turned their heads to face him. That's when David saw them, their eyes, 2 pools of absolute blackness, staring back at him. No whites, no pupils, just an empty, consuming void. A chill ran down David's spine. He felt a sudden urge to flee, to slam his foot on the gas and speed away from these unsettling figures. But something held him back, a strange mix of fear and morbid curiosity. The boy took a step closer to the car, his expression blank, unreadable. "We just need a ride," he said, his voice a low monotone, devoid of any emotion. David's hand trembled as he reached for the door handle, his heart pounding in his chest. "I'm sorry," David stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "I can't help you." He slammed his foot on the gas, the car lurching forward, leaving the children behind in a cloud of dust and exhaust. Our next tale takes us from the lonely highways to the supposed safety of a suburban home. The Thompson family, a picture of normalcy, had no idea that their lives were about to take a terrifying turn. It was a stormy evening, the wind howling outside like a banshee, rain lashing against the windows. Inside, the Thompsons were settling down for the night, the storm doing little to dampen their spirits. 10-year-old Emily was lost in a book. Her father, John, was reading the newspaper, and her mother, Sarah, was busy in the kitchen. Suddenly, a sharp rapping on the front door echoed through the house, startling them all. John, frowning, set down his paper and made his way to the door. Peering through the peephole, he saw a young boy standing on the porch. He appeared to be about Emily's age, dressed in a dark hooded jacket, his face obscured by the shadows of the hood. "Hello?" John called out, his voice barely audible above the roar of the storm. The boy did not respond, but simply stared at the door, his face still hidden. John, feeling a pang of sympathy for the child, decided to open the door a crack. "What is it, son? Are you lost?" The boy pushed past John, slipping into the house with a speed that belied his small stature. John, taken aback, stumbled back. As the boy lowered his hood, John finally got a good look at his face, and that's when the blood ran cold in his veins. The boy's eyes were open wide, fixated on John with an unnerving intensity, and they were completely black. No white, no pupils, just 2 pools of inky darkness. John felt a wave of terror wash over him, his breath catching in his throat. "Dad, who's at the door?" Emily called out from the living room. She appeared in the hallway, her eyes widening as she saw the boy standing in their home. "It's all right, honey," John said, his voice strained. "This young man seems to be lost. We'll help him find his way home." He tried to step around the boy to usher him back outside, but the boy stood his ground, his black eyes never leaving John's face. "We just need to use your phone," the boy said, his voice a low, raspy whisper. Emily, her face pale with fear, clutched at her father's arm. "Dad, I don't like him. Make him leave." John, torn between his fear and his desire to protect his family, felt a shiver run down his spine. He knew deep down that something was terribly wrong. The boy smiled then, a slow, chilling grin that spread across his face like a crack in a porcelain doll. Our final tale takes us to the desolate outskirts of the city, to an abandoned factory complex shrouded in darkness and whispered rumors. This is where our final witness, a security guard named Frank, had his chilling encounter. Frank had been a security guard for over 20 years, had seen his fair share of strange occurrences, but nothing could have prepared him for what he encountered that night. He had been assigned to the old factory, a sprawling complex of decaying buildings and rusted machinery, left to rot after years of neglect. His job was simple: patrol the grounds, make sure no one trespassed, and report anything unusual. Most nights were quiet, filled with the sounds of the wind whistling through broken windows and the occasional scuttling of rats in the darkness. But this night felt different. The air was heavy, charged with an unsettling energy that made the hairs on the back of Frank's neck stand on end. He made his rounds as usual, his flashlight cutting through the darkness, his mind filled with thoughts of his warm bed and the cup of coffee he would treat himself to when his shift was over. As he approached the main factory building, a hulking silhouette against the night sky, he noticed something strange. There was a light coming from inside, a faint flickering glow emanating from one of the upper floors. Frank frowned, his hand instinctively reaching for the heavy maglite on his belt. He knew the building was supposed to be completely empty. He had checked it himself just a few hours earlier. He cautiously approached the building, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He tried the main entrance, but it was locked, as it should have been. He circled around back, finding a fire escape that looked like it hadn't been used in years. He tested the metal steps, surprised to find them sturdy enough to hold his weight. He climbed the stairs, his heart pounding in his chest, the flickering light drawing him in like a moth to a flame. He reached the landing of the upper floor, the metal grating groaning under his weight. He peered through the dusty window into the room beyond. Two figures sat on the floor, their backs to him, bathed in the eerie glow of a single flickering fluorescent light. They were children, a boy and a girl, their clothes dirty and torn. They seemed to be talking to each other, their heads close together. Frank, feeling a surge of relief, lowered his flashlight. Kids. Probably just some teenagers looking for a place to hang out. He rapped on the window, hoping to scare them off. The children stopped talking and slowly turned to face him. Frank's blood ran cold. Their eyes, wide and unblinking, were as black as night. He stumbled back from the window, his heart racing. The children rose to their feet, their movements eerily fluid, and approached the window. They stood there, staring at him, their black eyes boring into his soul. Frank, his body frozen in fear, could only watch as the boy raised his hand and placed it on the glass. He smiled, a slow, predatory grin that sent chills down Frank's spine. Frank, his body finally responding to his terror, turned and fled. Thus concludes our journey into the unsettling world of the black-eyed children. Their motives remain a mystery, their origins shrouded in shadow. Are they simply lost souls seeking help, or do their black eyes hint at something far more sinister? Thank you for joining us on this journey into the darkness. Until next time, sleep tight, and remember, the darkness is always watching.